Okay, we're now on to my second league on Vintage Dredge. We are playing the same list as we did in the first league. I did intend to originally in my sideboard cut one Barbarian ring for a Riftstone Portal, but I completely forgot before I signed up. So we keep a... mulligan our first 7, we're down to 6. We have a ley line, but obviously that's not going to be enough. We want to hunt down the Bazaar. Just a quick word on why we wanted to change one of the Barbarian rings for a Riftstone Portal. Riftstone Portal obviously lets us turn Bazaars into usable lands, specifically by and large against shops, where we want to be able to tap the Bazaars for mana if necessary. So we'll keep this. We will scry to the top, leaving the troll there. We're going to be able to pitch that next turn and dredge like crazy, hopefully, in our next turn. And so fortunately we're not getting wastelanded off Bazaar on our first turn. However, Volk Lotus makes me think possibly Jace on turn 1. I'm not sure if that actually worries us, however. Oh, okay. Triple red. Okay, probably young Pyromancer. So a fast enough young Pyro draw might actually be enough to cut us out of the game here. If he gets enough tokens up quickly enough, we might be in real trouble. As I think the... so we can have action going from as soon as next turn. But without 2 Bazaars, we risk being overrun or possibly losing all our bridges. So we're going to have to hope for something pretty solid. Okay, and this is a pretty crazy fast draw from him. So he's going to have 6 power on the board when he passes the turn. Even better, he's got 2 reasonable bolt targets. 3 reasonable bolt targets if he finds that we have enough bridges. Okay, and we actually get really lucky and we hit a second Bazaar here. I think that's probably our best out we could have hoped for. And with any luck... Oh, okay, so we're still light on actual bridges at the moment. So, depending on what this Bazaar reveals, we might be able to just go for it this turn, but we're pretty much at its mercy. We don't have any therapies. We don't have a Flamekin Zealot, and we don't have any bridges, so we're not in terrible shape, but we're not looking amazing. Okay, we have 3 bridges here, but still not a single therapy. So I think it's probably worth here just going for the Dread return anyway, even if it gets countered. Probably ditching the blood ghasts, as we can recur those next turn quite easily. And we might try to, I guess we just get a Grave Troll here. A big enough Grave Troll should be able to close out the game, I think. Okay, we've opted for the Narcomoebas. On one level that makes sense. The Bloodghasts represent more power. I'm not sure if that's super relevant here though. And our opponent has a Force of Will. We don't really care. We literally just want our zombies at this point. And I think this should be more or less lethal if he passes the turn. Our main concern at the moment would be, I think, Echoing Truth and Lightning Bolt. So we need to both of those together to lose from here, I think. Yep, okay, and there we go, we've got it. So for this, I think we want to take out the ley lines. We want to bring in Elishnorn. So the ley lines are okay, but once again, they don't deal with the tokens. We want the Ingot Chewers, Serenities, and a couple of Nature's Claims. We're going to have to cut 2 more cards, so probably an Icarid and a Thug. So we're still nice and fast and streamlined. Obviously, with this configuration, our biggest issue is going to be mulliganing to Bazaar. It's possible we could leave in... Oh no, okay, so I was wondering about leaving in Thug and Icarid, but I feel like if we're against what is probably blue-red Delver, then they most likely have Wastelands, so we probably want the extra lands in this match. Okay, and we're doing alright here. We're going to keep this 7. We've got a misstep and in case they try to play a cage. Hopefully they won't have enough other interaction if they do. And we have a Bazaar. And a couple of Dredges and a Bloodghast just to make it really good here. And Therapy to deal with whatever we come across turn 2. And our opponent just leading on a Delver, playing a Ruby, I'm guessing, into a... Yep, okay, a cage. So we're going to misstep that. And now we're going to have to hope that the Bazaar can draw us into something like a Nature's Claim. So we're a little bit on the back foot. He's going to have an aggressive draw, I imagine. It's very likely that he's going to flip Delver fairly quickly, which gives us a fairly limited amount of time before we're going to be able to, I guess, find a way to just remove the cage. Treasure Cruise probably not our opponent's best draw. It's a while before he can cast that. And And he's going to manage to have us on 12 by the time we get to untap with Bazaar. So we're very likely in trouble. I think we probably need to hit perfectly off Bazaar to have a real chance of getting out of this game. I think perfectly in this case might actually mean Ingature as well instead of Nature's Claim. And so we're just going to ditch as much action as possible. Draw for turn. Okay, and I don't think Serenity gets us there. Now we should be pressing yes on Bloodghast ability, just in the vague hope that Moto bugs out. I don't know why we didn't Bazaar there. We really should have Bazaared. If we Bazaar, all we have to pitch is Stinkweed him. And if we hit well. And there's a second cage, and I'm not at all convinced we can win from here. Yeah, so we should have Bazaared. We would have had the Ingature, which we could have tried to fire off, and probably just lost a Force of Will. Okay, so we have double Ingature. And he has the Force, so I think we have to scoop it up there. Oh, okay, so our opponent's Delver didn't flip, however, it doesn't make any difference. We can play Serenity if we want, it's not going to change anything. And if we can't find... yeah, so we should probably scoop right here. Instead of showing him the Serenity. I guess otherwise our out there is for our opponent's Delver to both his unflipped Delvers to stay unflipped, leave us with the potential for blockers, or maybe a fast Elesh Norn. I guess it's possible we had an out from there, but it seems very unlikely. Alright, and this is a snap keep. Once again, we've got a misstep. We're going to have a bizarre. We've got a couple of dredges, and even better, a couple of amalgams. If we can manage to trigger them off, say, a Narcomoeba on our second turn. It's looking like our opponent's hand might be a little bit suspect, given the amount of time he's spending thinking on it. It's possible he's just got a hand with the only interaction being a wasteland or something. He's hoping that that maybe gets in there until he can draw into something useful. Okay, and yeah, there we see it. He's got a strip mine. And we hit Pater and hit a petrified field. So we're going to pitch 2 dredges rather than 2 amalgams. The reason being we just want to be reasonably dense on our actual dredges. And you can see why, because we now only, we've dredged 5 cards, but we now only have 1 dredger left in the yard. And we're kind of going to have to hope that we can hit another dredger of some sort next turn when we dredge the Thug. Now we do have 5 power on the board, which is leaving us in a pretty good spot. Fortunately, our opponent has a library draw, which is... Oh, okay. It's not a library draw, he's just going for a misstep. I just assumed he was going to activate library, which is always going to be a bit slow, I feel. And yeah, our opponent has the misstep, that's fine. We're going to bash in for 5 next turn. He's got to start getting some action on the board. And I think... Okay, we're going to grab the Bazaar now. This makes sense. If we get the Bazaar down now, we can start looting for our artifact removal in preparation to hopefully go off next turn. So at the moment, we're really contingent on our opponent not finding anything. If they manage to... Okay, yeah, we're looking really good now. Our opponent kept a pretty weak hand by the looks of it. Alright, so we'll pitch Icarid, Stinkweed. Bridge is probably fine to pitch here. He's not really got anything going on, and it means that if he bolts one of our creatures, at least we get something back from it. Okay, and he's just flashing in a Snapcaster Mage to, I'm guessing, block the Amalgam, and that will take care of a bridge. It's still only one bridge, we're not particularly worried. Okay, he's blocking the Bloodghast. I think that's wrong. If he blocks the Amalgam, we don't get a 2-2. Because I'm not sure if he's actually managed to shorten the clock any by doing so. Oh, sorry, lengthen the clock by doing so. And unfortunately, we're drawing nothing but lands. Should probably play one out here. We'll just bash in again. This will mean that if our opponent doesn't find anything next turn, we're just going to win. I'm still not finding anything to deal with the Grafdigger's Cage, but fortunately we just managed to put enough power on the board early enough, and our opponent just kept a very weak draw, hinging really heavily on Strip Mine and Grafdigger's Cage to get him there, and it's just not been enough. I suppose maybe a really lucky young Pyromancer draw here might possibly get him going if he went something like Pyro into Lotus, Pyro Bolt, Misstep. That would put a lot of power on the board very quickly. And now he's obviously just trying to go through his library to find something. And he doesn't, so we get there.